Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you from Clint's Comics here in Monroe, Louisiana. And this episode is, as y'all can see, this is an esophageal cancer awareness Comic Hero tee. And right here is the ribbon for that. And you're probably noticing these initials. This episode is in memory of Carla Sheremy, who I've actually known for about a little over 8 years, and as a matter of fact, I went to college with her older daughter, and then I might as well go ahead and say it. And I once dated her younger daughter, and I got a chance to know the family very well. So Kayla, Candace, and Kayla's boyfriend John, if y'all are watching this, my thoughts and prayers go out to you, and also the rest of the family. I know they also have family in Golden Meadow, Louisiana, and you know what? I said this once before. As a matter of fact, I said this at the end of last week's episode. I don't really talk about anything religious on this show very often, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I mean, it stinks whenever you lose a loved one. But to me, to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. All right, it's time to give away a free T-shirt. All right, now last week's episode, I asked the question, what borough of New York is Spider-Man from? Well, the answer is Queens. And 3 people have answered correctly, and I'm about to draw their name right now. So the winner of the free Comic Hero T-shirt is... Oh man, Bobby Chandler, it is not you this time. The person whose name I just pulled has answered a question over the past month and a half, and they had told me that they're going to keep answering the question right, and because no matter what, I'm never going to pull their name. They think it's rigged. No, it isn't. But to paraphrase what Shamar Moore said 17 years ago in a daytime Emmy Awards, the streak is over, Kathy McCord! So congratulations, Kathy, you win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, now here's the question for next week's episode. The Flash fights crime in Central City, Nebraska. True or false? Central City is an actual city in the state of Nebraska. Now everyone who answers correctly will be in the drawing for a free Comic Hero tee in episode 109 of the show. Now, there's not going to be an any questions segment in this episode because, unfortunately, no one asked any questions for me. So we're going to go ahead and skip over to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. This one has been requested by Brandon Ringo from West Monroe, Louisiana. And this one is quite cosmic and quite magical. Representing DC, we have Sinestro. And also representing DC, we have Black Adam. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Sinestro versus Black Adam. Sinestro possesses flight, superhuman strength, and heart-like constructs with the use of a power ring. Without the ring, he possesses psychological intuition, an innate understanding of the fears and phobias of others, and is an expert hand-to-hand combatant. Black Adam, via magical lightning, possesses superhuman strength, speed, stamina and courage, physical and magical near invulnerability, flight, genius-level intellect, immortality, control over an emission of magical lightning as a weapon or for casting spells. Who will win? This will be an all-out slugfest at first. After minutes of punching each other across the universe, Sinestro decides to read whatever fears Black Adam may have. This proves to be unsuccessful since one of Black Adam's powers is courage. Then Black Adam uses lightning to finish off Sinestro, but the latter quickly makes a shield
and causes the lightning to ricochet off the shield and strike Black Adam. This causes the latter to convert back to his original Teth Adam form. He tries to say the word Shazam, but Sinestro beheads him with the Constructo machete, killing him instantly. Sinestro wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. And if you have any fight requests for the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown or questions for the Any Questions segment, contact info is down there. Now, folks, here's the one thing about the Any Questions segment. It is a permanent segment on the show, and it has been for almost a year. So please help me to keep it that way. All right, now it's time for Comically Speaking. So without further ado, let's talk comics. All right, now the first thing I want to talk about is the last Wolverine movie to come out, Wolverine 3. There is a rumor that X-23 may end up being in the movie. Do I think that should happen? Oh, absolutely. You know, X-23, for those of y'all who don't know, her real name is Laura Kinney, and she actually made her first appearance in an episode of X-Men Evolution. She was created for that show, and just about everyone at Marvel liked her so much that they decided to bring her to the comics, and she made her debut in the pages of Uncanny X-Men, I want to say about 9 or 10 years ago. And she is currently now the new Wolverine. Now, will she be the new Wolverine in this episode? Will Logan kick the bucket? I don't know. But I would love to see X-23 in there. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is Marvel's Jessica Jones wins a Peabody Award. The show wins a Peabody Award, and deservingly so. I have watched all but I think the last episode of that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna watch the last episode of this weekend. I mean, Kristen Ritter did such a great job as the lead character, and then Rachel, and then other folks like Rachel Taylor and as Trish Walker and David Tennant, who was a previous Doctor on Doctor Who, made an unbelievable Kilgrave. So yeah. Oh, and Brandon Ringo from Westboro, Louisiana, who just made a request in the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. I just got a question from him, or I just read a question that he had posted to me on Facebook. But Brandon Ringo, the rules are rules. I will save your question for next week's episode. All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Oh, and by the way, you're probably noticing that it's a little dim in here, but that's like in between scenes, the lights went out. But anyway, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now then, let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, first up is The Flash number 50. Now, what's been going on in this book is that The Flash has been on the run from the law. Now, you would probably think, why is he on the right side of the law? It has to do with the Rogues. They pretty much did something to convince the Central City Police and the citizens of Central City that the Flash is on the wrong side of the law. And now it's time for Barry Allen to make things right. Next up is Back to the Future, number 7. Now this is part 2 of the Continuum Conundrum story arc. And folks, this book does not disappoint. And mainly because Bob Gale, who co-wrote the script of all 3 Back to the Future movies, is on the book. So the way I see it, and it just has disappointed. And here's the thing, folks. This book, in the first few issues, is talked about like some of the things that it pretty much explains some of the things about the book and the character, about the Back to the Future franchise and the characters that a lot of us didn't really know. Great read. All right, next up is Aquaman number 51. Now, recently, Aquaman has regained the trust of everyone in Atlantis and has regained his title as king. Now, it wasn't easy because Aquaman, Mera's sister Siren had masqueraded as Mera and turned the entire city of Atlantis against him. And while he was trying to regain the trust of the citizens, he ended up liberating some other lost citizens of Atlantis. And now things are back right again. Or are they? All right, next up is Action Comics number 51. This is part 3 of the Super League story arc that's going on in some of the books. And Superman finds out that he's dying. And at first he tells Lana Lang and then Lois Lane. Then in Batman Superman number 31, he tells Batman. And Batman kind of figures that for 2 reasons. 1, he is the world's greatest detective. And 2, because Superman's eyes are green instead of blue. So he tries to enlist the help of Batman to find Supergirl, because he figured since he's dying, he was going to need a successor. And who better than his own cousin? They get some leads and then find out that she was at a bar somewhere, but then right after that she ended up in National City. Now keep in mind, Supergirl really hasn't been seen since the Convergence story arc ended last summer. And in the last page of Batman Superman number 31, we find out that she is held captive somewhere without the use of her powers. All right, next up is Captain America Sam Wilson number 7. Now, what's been going on in this book? This is a standoff story arc. The standoff is this event that's going on throughout most of the Avengers-related books. Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, and the Sam Wilson Captain America team up to find both Steve Rogers and Maria Hill. They beat up the bad guys, but meanwhile, Steve Rogers ends up going up against Crossbones, and Crossbones beats him within an inch of his life. But his saving grace, Kobik, aka the cosmic cube that was made sentient. Not only does she heal Steve Rogers of his injuries, she also gives him back his he also injects him with the super soldier serum that was recently siphoned from him by the Iron Nail. And not only is he stronger again, he's useful again. And also we see some backup stories from Tim Sale, John Cassidy, and Joss Whedon. Now the backup story by Joss Whedon and John Cassidy explains why Captain America prefers shields over guns. And then Tim Sale, we see what Captain America is breaking into a Hydra stronghold to retrieve, and that's a baseball that his father got Babe Ruth to sign for him. And then another one that I forgot about, by I think Ed Brubaker and Mike Perkins, shows the Black Widow performing at her own ballet, and she knows that there's some folks out to kill her. So Steve Rogers attends the ballet mainly in the hopes of retrieving this guy. And then lastly, the Mighty Thor number 6. Now this isn't. Now we really can't get enough of Odin's son. So what they're doing in this one is that they're featuring this is a story that about a very younger Odin's son back when he wielded Jarnbjorn, which is the axe. But this is a great book. I mean, to see a female Thor, and not just any female Thor, but Dr. Jane Foster, who is also battling cancer, become the new Thor, is nothing but spectacular. All right, that's 6 I bought, which brings the total number of comics I bought since December of 1997 to 7,276. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, folks. This is a shorter episode, and mainly, and you know, but I think it was a good episode nonetheless. And Kayla, Candace, if y'all are watching this, you know, my thoughts and prayers go out to you. And you know, I know what it's like to lose a parent, but I can only imagine what it's like losing both. But I said that to say this.
Well, hold on. On the same
To anyone else, if you have a parent,
or anything like that,
It doesn't have that.
don't take for granted the love that they have
what
for
is
you.
that app then?
Don't take for granted that you know they raised you. I mean, if you're kind of estranged from your parents, I encourage you, please reach out to them, because you can't replace family. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your circumstance is. You cannot replace family. And I want to share with y'all a little story about Miss Carla.
And how are you paying again?
And this took place about 5 years ago, almost. I was over her at Kayla's house, and I was visiting with them, and she was playing this interactive game called Text Twist, and I was trying to help. And in this game, you had to look for 4-letter words. Well, I helped her with it,
254.
because there were some words she could find and there were some words I could find. So, but there was this one word that I could not find that she found, but at the end of it, the game was over, and the game ended up revealing some of the words she missed, and the word was oboe. And then she looked at me and she said, "You're a music major. You're supposed to know that." And I think we all hysterically laughed after that. But you know, one thing about me, when it comes to people who are no longer here, and I mean, I always try to remember the good times. I try to remember the good times with my dad. I try to remember the good times with my grandparents. I try to remember the good times with Clint. I think, you know, with Clint, ever since I first started coming to this store almost 16 years ago, I had some very memorable times, and not all of them took place while I was doing this show. I mean, I didn't start doing this show until almost 3 years ago. But anyway, just always remember the good times with folks who are no longer here. All right. Now, for everyone who's on social media, there's this thing that I'm going to start doing. In about 2 weeks is Free Comic Book Day, and I'm going to be on both sides of North Louisiana. I'm going to do a special split edition episode of the Comic Hero Show
I know that part about cars.
in 2 weeks from tomorrow. I'm going to be over at Geeks Along the River earlier, but then I'm going to take a 100-mile trip to Shreveport, and then I'm going to be over at GeekCon. And I need y'all's help on what shirt I should wear. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, or if you're on Tumblr, I seriously need your help. And now most diehard fans are on Facebook. That is a straight up fact. But if you're watching this, if you're on Tumblr, if you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, look me up. And for everyone who's watching this, if you try to look me up on Facebook, hey, the lights are back on! All right! Woo! And Sabrina said they weren't going to come back on until 5:30.
Oh, I'm about to message her back. They just came back on.
Yeah. I'm about to, well, after the show, I'm going to message her. And by just saying 2 words. Boo Sabrina. But anyway. If you're on any of those sites, especially on Facebook. Now, if you're on Facebook and you try to friend me, please, and I said this in last week's episode, please acknowledge the fact that you are a fan of the show. Please, sir, please, ma'am. I'm not going to just friend anyone because well,
There's some crazy out there.
yeah, that's right. There are some crazies out there. So please acknowledge so if you If you do so, please acknowledge the fact that you are a fan of the show. All right, now here's what I'm going to do. Because Free Comic Book Day is 2 weeks from tomorrow, and I'm doing a split edition of the show, I want to wear a shirt. Now I'm going to post some of the shirts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. Your job is to let me know what shirt I'm going to wear, and I will reveal what shirt I'm going to wear in episode 110 of the Comic Hero Show 2 weeks from today. And that'll be the episode and that'll be a shirt that I wear in episode 111, which will be the split edition Free Comic Book Day episode.
Right, I know. I'm just saying, like.
And in next week's episode 108, in episode 109, excuse me. This is episode 108, by the way. Episode 109 next week, I'm going to be paying a tribute to somebody who has absolutely nothing to do with comics, but this person had a lot to do with our lives in terms of music, in terms of pop culture, and I'm talking about Prince. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, he passed away yesterday, and one thing, you grew up. You grew up listening to his music. You grew up watching the movies Purple Rain, Graffiti Bridge, and even this movie that was in black and white called Cherry Moon.
It was. It's probably flu medicine.
But yeah, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wear a purple shirt.
Yeah, well, he's Presbyterian, so.
Plain enough. All right, I'm Victor Nunley. I'm the Comic Hero. We'll see you next week for episode 109 back here at Clint's Comics. So till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero, and rest in love, Miss Carla. We'll see you in the morning.